I think about Juneteenth. It's one of my favorite holidays, and at the same time, I have some mixed feelings about how it's remembered. When we talk about certain myths and things when it comes to history, I feel like there's a lot of mythology surrounding Juneteenth, and the
Mm-hmm.
actual history is so much more powerful. And the actual history has roots really in Virginia. If we want to, keep it 100, we talk about Texas in Juneteenth, but if you don't mind, I would like to run some dates
Yeah.
to show you how it's connected back to Virginia. So I'm going to share with you three names first: Shepard Mallory, Frank Baker, and James Townsend. It's like my next tat, I'm gonna get those three names like on my knuckles or something because of what they did for us as a people and for this nation. If you back up to 1850, you have the Fugitive Slave Act gets passed by Congress, and I think it basically said, if you are enslaved and you escape to a free state or to another country, you can be rounded up by the slave catchers and taken back to where you came from. No questions asked. In many cases, you have people who have been born free, been free for generations, just being accused of being enslaved. And back, a lot of people draw parallels to what we see happening right now in many communities where people, are being rounded up without due process. And this was happening to our ancestors, for centuries. But in 1850 is when the Fugitive Slave Act was passed. Fast forward to 1859, October 16th through 18th, you have a man by the name of John Brown, a white abolitionist, who has this idea we can arm enslaved Black people all across the South and start a rebellion with them fighting back for their freedom. And so him and an interracial group of abolitionists attempt to raid Harper's Ferry, and of course they're captured. And that vision of Black liberation through revolution in 1859 is thwarted because those men are captured at Harper's Ferry. And so you fast forward, again, we've gone from 1850 with the Fugitive Slave Act, 1859, John Brown's raid. Now we're in 1861. The first shots of the Civil War are fired in Fort Sumter, South Carolina. In May 1861, we're talking about a month later, we have Shepard Mallory, Frank Baker, and James Townsend escaping from slavery to Fort Monroe in Hampton, Virginia. Remember, the Fugitive Slave Act at that time said that if you are an enslaved person and you are fleeing to freedom, if you're found, you have to be sent back to where you came from. When these three men get to Fort Monroe, the general there, Benjamin Butler, has an idea. He said, okay, I'm not really for this slavery freedom thing, even though I'm a Union officer, but this could be militarily strategic if we keep these men here. Since the South is calling these humans property and we're at war, we're going to confiscate their property and keep that property. And so he passes the contraband decision, and word spreads. So from those three men, you have thousands and thousands of enslaved people all across the South who start hearing this, and they flee across Union lines. And they know that if they can just get to a Union fort, a camp or something, that means that they'll be free. And fast forward 1862, what are we doing? We're getting behind Union lines. We're self-liberating. We're freeing ourselves. And it's not until you get to 1863, Abraham Lincoln issues the Emancipation Proclamation. A whole year and a half, basically, of us saying we're going to free ourselves. And that's what finally convinces Abraham Lincoln to issue the Emancipation Proclamation. And so there's this myth that, Abraham Lincoln woke up one day, decided to free our ancestors, and then our ancestors in Texas didn't hear about it until late. But that's not even true, because one of the things that had to happen in order for emancipation to continue to happen, these towns needed to be taken over by Union troops. So as the United States Army continued to advance, you have a lot of things happening. The war concludes. All of our ancestors still aren't free, even when the war concludes. There's still some Confederates fighting back. And then finally, in 1865, you have Union armies reaching Galveston, Texas. From there, they're able to enforce the Emancipation Proclamation, and that's June 19th, 1865. So it wasn't as if we were waiting around to be freed, and it wasn't as if we didn't get the word until last minute. We knew we were free. Texas, we needed some backup to make sure that our freedom was going to be protected and guaranteed, and that's when that backup arrived. But I do want to say, like, more important for us in Charlottesville, more important than Juneteenth, is March 3rd through 6th, 1865. That's our liberation and freedom day in Charlottesville. That's when federal troops arrived in Charlottesville and took the city, and that's when our ancestors in Charlottesville started fleeing behind Union lines. But our local Juneteenth is celebrated every year, and I'm so proud as a city. I wish every locality celebrated the Juneteenth that happened in their hometown. But for Charlottesville, I think this is a way we're getting it right. We say we're not just going to celebrate one time, we're going to celebrate twice.